I invite you to join me, to participate in this inquiry into the miracle of our souls, to become part of the psychic connection.
Peace and love, what's up? Nyiam here, going to go over my remote viewing data for September 2020 top global news events, as they like to call them. The password for the zip file, which I made available, I think it was August 9th, I put that out. The password's going to be in the description below. It's like a randomized bunch of numbers, so I'll put that here in the video, but it'll be easier if you just copy and paste it from the link from in the description there. For those of you who didn't download the file or have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to go through all the data here anyway, so you'll get to see it. The reason for the download going out was so that, now that it's August 25th, I already did this work back on the 8th or the 9th. So there's no way that I can now change my mind now that we're getting closer to September. What I said, what I wrote is already written, and I can't change my mind now and maybe try and look at the news events that are happening now and, make up data, right? So that was the reasoning for doing it and making it available for other people to hold. As for the targeting, with remote viewing future events and future things, it's not a solidified science yet. There's still problems. It doesn't always work out. Some people think there's multiple timelines and, all types of things. But since this is the first month that I decided to do this, I decided to do it really early in the month. So I did the sessions early August, like before the 10th of August. And sometimes with remote viewing future events, the timing that you set doesn't exactly work out. So we'll see what happens, you know what I mean? So if it turns out that there's events from the end of August that end up in my session, maybe next month I'll wait a little further into the month, but I want to make it so that the work is completed well ahead of time. So with that being said, this is the queuing for the target that I did. I wrote on a piece of paper, target. I used a random number generator to create a target number. 41081262 was the target number. And the tasking that I wrote to myself is the viewer will perceive the top global news stories for the month of September 2020. So with that, little setup, I went through my remote viewing protocols. So I'm just going to walk you through the stages here of the protocol I use and explain kind of like the levels of data and my data points here. So the first three drawings are what we call a visual ideogram. So this is just connecting to the target, our first contact with the target. All three of my visual ideograms had a similar look to it. So I have some kind of circular, curved, or cylindrical type structure with something a little more linear, either attached to the top or trailing off behind it. I had another view of it like this on the second page, and what looked like people to me surrounding it. And so they're all my visual ideograms were essentially very similar. After that came ideograms and probes. I had textures of mushy, hard, and flexible, man-made things, natural things, some dynamic and some static data there. That's, these are low-level contact stages. Now, in what we call the Playfair matrix, this is where data starts to come together. This is kind of like a puzzle piece type matrix here. So we have sites on the far left, and then the associated sensory information to each of those sites. So this is running across horizontally from left to right. So I had visuals of some kind of structure, possibly life as well, scraping sounds, loud voices, something circular shape there, which is, we'll develop that as we go through here, but voices sound like multiple voices. My third visual down, the third row, this looked like, to me, like I wrote right beside it there, jumbled rubble or broken, and I even wrote in brackets, like, kind of reminds me of like 9/11, how at ground zero there was like a couple pieces of the structure still just standing there with, like, barbed wire, not barbed wire, but structural elements kind of like sticking out. That's what that visual reminded me of. Rubble, jumbled rubble, thick broken concrete. Those are the textures I had there. I had sounds of voices and heavy breathing, and I had a texture of like particulate and crushed. Okay. The fifth row down, I had senses of, again, kind of like concrete, broken concrete, kind of like a hollow sound, open space with rubble, voices, kind of like what I felt like was a shaft or a narrow area at some points. On to the next page here. This is the S2 Playfair matrix. This is where we're doing another scan, and we're using little higher level contact techniques here, introducing some NLP. And so starting at the top left and then going across, again, I had this sense of like, kind of like inside a structure, but like damaged. So on the far right of that first column, there's a vertical column called P, and what that means is phase. That's kind of like an AOL type column, not necessarily an AOL, but this is where we just write things to get them out, like what we think about that line of data, in case things build up. So I said, inside a damaged structure, floor feels like rubble. Sounds of yells, dusty, chalky, hot. The floor felt like mushy. This is something I got over and over in the session. Kind of like if you were running through like a rubble structure, or, what you're stepping on is not exactly a solid surface. That's what I felt. Mushy floor, kind of like rubble. The second row across, sense of blowing, structural parts sticking out, jagged, chiseled, broken, kind of like concrete or stone broken, and I had a sense of uneven surfaces of the structure. Third row down, this was a pretty clear visual I got, and I expanded on this. I'll show in a second. Voices, many, strewn, messy land. So like, I'll scroll down here. This was kind of like blowing that picture up, what I saw, drawing it in a little more detail. Just quickly, was a structure, kind of like a fenced-in area behind a structure or in front of a structure. It reminded me of like a courtyard or like a backyard. You know what I mean? Like a space that is kind of bordered in relation to a structure. The next page is my S3 data, which is bringing all the things that I just perceived in all those other stages onto one page. So this would be, the structure, the land, the circle structure with the people, the things with the metal sticking out, the rubble. So this is consolidating it all on one page. One of the main, problems or issues with remote viewing is the viewer. It's hard for the viewer to tell what is related to what. The viewer's blind. I'm blind to this. These could all be separate events, or these could all be one event. Or, who knows? So that's where the challenge in one of the challenges of using remote viewing like this is. So, I go into this just taking a shot at each one of these and seeing what happens. I can't spend too much time on any of them because, I don't know what's going to happen. So if I spend too much time investigating one of these impressions, it could end up being, wrong, or it could end up being a waste of resources. So, I take some time on each of these and we'll see what happens. This was the land, what I labeled as land 1 here by the structure up here in the top. So looking at this, what I call land 1 here. Here I got a sense of a structure, maybe 2 or 3 stories, some vegetation nearby, like a fence closing in this area. I wrote structure, maybe 2 to 3 stories. I got a sense of entry, hot, more of a rural type area, a sense of riot, many voices, I hear glass breaking and shattering, protests, out of control, a sense of fed up, out of hand, angry voices. I got a sense of silence, courtyard silence, a sense of smoke in the air too there. So that was my, what I got there on that little probe, and I did some further probing on it here, and with this, I get a sense of. Hold on 1 second. Actually, this was for this image. So this is my land 2, going back here, where I had the kind of what felt like a hollow, narrow area with the rubble. So this is the land 2 that I took a view at here. And here I get a sense of bang, bang, loud pops, paved surfaces. This feels more urban. A sense of last hope, rebel, yelling and shouts, a sense of like civil war, unrest, defense, peril. And I wrote outdoor, pave, a sense of urban warfare, a sense of urban war zone, barriers / bent metal. And I even had a sense of like a bin on fire nearby. So probing that for more information, I got a sense of takeover, infiltrate, coup, angry, adrenaline, disaster, non-compliant, riot. These are the types of data points that I was getting here. Moving on to the structure 1, which was this structure here, structure 1 with the fence, where the fenced area was. Isolating that structure, taking a look. Here I got a sense of yellowish white building structure. I got a sense of like white window frames, not a skyscraper, but a few stories tall. Here again, I get, voices, a sense of infiltrate, pacify, outbreak, sounds of loud sirens, voices and footsteps. And I got a couple probes here. I got a sense of like nursery, education, and plaintiff. We'll see if that ends up being anything. I got a sense of release of smoke and dust, like broken, kind of like a hole in the wall here. I wrote hole in the wall stroke structure. And then I get a sense of breakthrough, breakout, run, incoming. So, doesn't seem like something good there, but that's the data I got. And expanding on this further in a little S4 matrix, I got a sense of runaway, outbreak, capture, panic. The emotionals I got there was panic and just destitute. My AI is like, this is like a disaster and this is painful. The intangibles I got there was outbreak, disease, panic, confusion, and a sense of like an ultimatum, which kind of relates to what I was getting earlier with, I wrote on the earlier Land 1, I had a sense of like riots, fed up. So here I'm getting like ultimatum, and I had an AOL kind of like escape. And that kind of ties into what I was saying on the other visual with incoming, infiltrate, kind of like run away, that kind of stuff. So the structure 2, this is what I labeled as in my S3. Structure 2 was the circular structure, the thing that I had from the kind of like the first thing I saw here, what I called like the ring structure or some kind of circular structure. So scrolling down to this is what I saw when I looked at structure 2. Now, I got a sense of the circular type thing there, circular structure. I wrote wall, structure, barrier with life near the base, life at the base. The sense here was like rural, a rural sense, man-made structure. And with the life here, I hear voices saying help, a sense of escape and trapped. I get division, barricade, imposition, a sense of detriment here, and I get a sense of trapped, okay, and I wrote here sense of locked in. So people, potentially locked or trapped. I don't know if these people are trapped or people are trapped on the inside, on the other side, but this is what I'm getting: a sense of division, barricade, trapped, a sense of locked in. That's what I saw there for that. Now this is my next view here is looking at the life associated with this target. Life multi. And so this is what I see here. I see, I said a group of people carrying someone. So I've drawn what look like at least 3 or 4 people giving attention, or in a group with a person as a central focus, and it looked like at least 2 of them were holding, how you would like support someone if they're injured or they can't move or something, carrying someone. And my probe on this was civilian, so this felt civilian to me. And the sense I get here was panic, run, sounds of yelling and shouting, sense of like get medical help, fear and frustration. I got a probe of pathogen, and I also again got this sense of infiltrate and screaming. And even somewhere here, I got a sense that there may be someone even like vomiting or something like that. And I did a little S4 couple probes here, and I got a sense of outbreak, panic, run and escape. Again, the sense of destitute, emotions of destitute, downtrodden, and a sense of like given up, like someone's given up. My AI is like save them, like someone needs to save these people. And I also got a sense of lockdown. So I don't know if that could possibly be more, COVID-19, pandemic type stuff. We'll see. Hopefully not. But here, I don't know, maybe I mislabeled this, or maybe I ended up looking at the same gestalt twice. I'm not sure, but I have this labeled as Land 2, but I already looked at Land 2, so I may have looked at the same land twice, honestly. But, what's done is done. I'm just going to go through what I wrote here. Here, and I remember this visual pretty clearly. I had a sense of, I saw what looked like kind of like definitely a opening somewhere, like a way to a extended area, and then I saw someone running, so I wrote people run. Floor is messy. Again, this thing with the floor. Floor is messy, and I wrote papers, question mark, debris. Like I have a sense of stuff all over the floor. And I wrote escape, flee, scared, abandoned, defeat. And I got a sense of military being involved somewhere here. And my probe was a sense of armed forces infiltrate. So, I had earlier a sense of coup and infiltrate and stuff like that. So, there may be some kind of event where something like this happens. This I wrote land 3, looking at another land gestalt. Let's see. Land 3. Yeah, land 3. This is the area where I felt that there was what reminded me of like 9/11. I said in my earlier part of the session, I felt like there were strewn, jumbled, messy stuff like that. Parts of a structure kind of sticking out. So I looked at land 3, and here I got a sense of shelter, barrier, destruction, a sense of like wood and metal. And my probe here was like retreat, safety, I wrote. And then I had a sense of hide and seek, war games, urban area, hide and seek war games, urban area. And I wrote like a shanty shelter hideout, stroke, like a shanty shelter stroke hideout, slanted roof. So my sense on this one was like kind of like a old, those old busted down shelters that maybe you would build or find somewhere to hide in an urban warfare situation. That's the sense. That's what that looked like to me. Yeah, that was my visual there. Now these visuals were just free take visuals. I was just looking on Blackboard and seeing if I could just get some more images. Again, I saw this structure with these vertical lines going down the ends, kind of like what I saw earlier. And I got a sense of coming out of a structure, people coming out. Someone's carrying, I see 2 people carrying someone on, the medical beds coming out of there, and a sense of people standing right beside a body. And now that I'm thinking of it, on my first land 1 drawing, I had a sense of nursery. So, I don't know if this is the same thing here, but sense of people carrying people on like a bed coming out of a structure. Here again, I'm seeing this circular thing again. And I get a sense of panic, run, chaos, and containment. And here I see a person who's lying on something. And to me, they look like they're either hurt or dead. And I get a sense of deceased. And I get, again, this point, outbreak, which I had a couple times before in the session. So, the circular structure is something that keeps coming back and back in this session. And I tried to see any life that would be, pertinent to all this. And I saw a woman, older. She looked a little older to me. Strong lines on the forehead. Messy hair, grayish messy hair, I wrote. And again, when I'm probing this person, I get a sense of diplomat, cross-border, implant, and infiltrate. So infiltrate was a word I got a couple times in this. Diplomat, I don't know. So yeah, so that's my data. That's the data I got on for September 2020. I don't want to build a house of cards, you know, like looking at my own data and just making a story out of it. But, you know, it seems like some of the data was coherent. I mean, separate parts that seemed pretty separate to me. You know, I keep getting these little points like infiltrate, breakout, military, coup. So, interesting stuff. We'll have to see what happens. Yeah. Hopefully this was interesting. If you see anything in the news that you feel like matches up to this, then, you know, shoot me a message here or contact me through email. It'll be in the description there. I'll be trying to keep this up to date with anything that happens, and I'll be posting on my website and on my YouTube. Check out my website, www.thefeedbackloop.info, to stay updated on this and to just learn and read more about remote viewing and intuition in general. So hopefully this was interesting. Thanks for watching. One love, y'all.